Hey everybody, it's Mark Schultz here, and we are live for another edition of Recovery in Aviation. And I have some exciting things we're going to talk about today. I have a special guest. I have Matt Higa with us, and we're going to be talking about the new space economy. We're going to be talking about digital and how you can be successful in digital. And we're going to be talking about some special things about ladies in aviation. Do not miss this. This is going to be an exciting broadcast. Hey everybody, Mark Schultz here. Thanks so much for joining us today. Larry, welcome.
Hey Mark, good morning. Good morning, Matt. Good to be with you guys.
Hey everybody, Larry is my business partner, and he's based out of the Seattle area and region. We've been working together for many, many years, and I have a guest with us today. I have Matt Higa with us, and Matt, I'm sorry, Matt, did I pronounce your last name right?
It's Higa, but
Higa. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. All right, Higa. Matt, people don't know who you are. It says you're a pioneer. Can you just tell us who you are and what you do to get us kicked off in this conversation?
Yeah, sure thing. I'm the founder and Scrum Master of Pineapple Empire. It's my own space business. Our mission is to accelerate the world's transition to the new space economy, and we're out here looking to drum up some more interest and get some more cult followers.
Great, good. Hey, listen, we have some really fun things we want to talk about this morning, and it's a little bit of a different show, here today. But for those of you watching, I know you're going to really find it interesting because the space economy is really driving out there in the industry today. And I wanted to ask all of you out there who are watching, we love interaction. It works best when we can interact with people. Matt's going to be here to ask questions. Larry and I are. First thing we like to do is we like to have people just tell us, where you are. And so there's a comment box down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can put in where you're watching from. We'd love to know that. We'll recognize you. We'll throw it up on the screen. If you can share this stream with us, right down there by the comment box, there's a little hook arrow, and you can actually share this stream so other people can see it. We would love for you to be able to do that. And finally, if you have questions, it works best when we have live questions where we can actually have a conversation back and forth with people. So if you have questions, let us know. All right. Hey, let's jump right into the first topic that we had today, the space economy. So there's been a lot of stuff happening, with the space economy lately. Matt, I assume, that everybody's had eyes on, the launches lately. What do you think about the different space launches that we've had lately?
I mean, I'm a big fan of them, obviously, just on space alone. I know they've gotten a lot of backlash, because it's a bunch of billionaires in space going to do their billionaire thing. But as an aspiring billionaire, I have some sympathy for that. But also, I think it just, pushes the industry forward. And I don't know how else, it's an expensive business. So it does require that, and it does bring more attention to it. So it looks to me like the very beginnings of the next space race, even if it's a billionaires one, is beginning to start.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, just to back up a little bit, today is the first time I've ever heard the term new space economy. Matt, can you tell me just a little bit about what you see as the new space economy? What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a little weird, but that's the terminology I picked up on from the industry as well. I guess you kind of assumes that the past space economy, was already done and over, but I think it's all kind of part of the same one in my eyes. So maybe the newness could refer to just the new economy in general, or where the world pivots from the whole industrial revolution to the whole space revolution, I guess, in a way. Or I think there's another point of view of looking at it as, there was the space race in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And kind of died out a little bit. Or fell to the back burner. It wasn't quite as, the central focal point of, and that's kind of what I think we're going to go back to. That plus more. I think we did some things, surprised ourselves, and we're like, oh, we can't do that. Okay, cool. Let's recalibrate as a world and figure this out. And now I think we've had the space and the time, and technology was where it's at, that we're coming back to the new space economy, where 60s and 70s versus now.
Okay.
But also the same thing.
Yeah, great question, Larry. When I was younger, I was watching the first, moon landings and things like that, in front of the TV, in front of the black and white TV, and for me, that was an exciting part of when I was younger and growing up, and I remember distinctly, I was working at McDonnell Douglas when the Challenger, had its big problem, and so there's been a lot of ups and downs, in the industry, and you're right, there was a real lull for a long time. And really, it's very exciting for me to see a resurgence of activity, towards space, and to see the fact that we've had such an increase in technology and a reduction in cost in being able to do this. It's just really incredible to me. I mean,
Matt,
Larry,
you talked about the old space economy, and you're spot on. The old space economy took us to the moon or whatever, but it created a ton of other spin-off sort of technologies or businesses or opportunities. And I think what you're talking about is the new space economy is going to kind of spin off things that we haven't even thought about yet, and opportunities that we haven't
bring
even
some of that
thought
stuff
about.
back around together. It's just, there's such an abundant market out there. There's so much to work on in its space, and that's also part of why I love it, is that there's a lot more, I believe, collaboration with it than there is competition. Of course, that drives. I'm in a race unofficially with China right now to beat them to Mars. They don't know. I know. But, it's who gets there first, and whoever does, it's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, that's a great positive attitude. And the other thing which I wanted to ask you about, Matt, is that Larry and I have frequently talked about how diversified different industries are. And a lot of times when we think about the space economy, we think, oh, I need to go work for SpaceX, or I need to go build rockets, or, but you'd have a broader perspective on that, right?
Totally. And to touch on that, and you already mentioned SpaceX, this is kind of where I had the first idea. I mean, I was already on pursuit of this, and I already knew from my perspective like that I could become part of the space economy without necessarily becoming a rocket scientist or aerospace engineer. But I was browsing their job boards and I saw barista. And I was like, oh, okay, you could be serving coffee there's supporting roles, and those roles are just as important. I think we hear about those in a lot of, different movies that we see in different things. It's not just the main characters, it's everybody else who makes that go, and makes that dream come alive too. Where I work, we have a one team, one dream kind of mentality, kind of one motion sort of thing. And, you can be a barista supporting the new space economy. You could also, that led me to talking to fashion designers as well. And, fashion isn't necessarily the first thing you think of when you're thinking, all right, how do I become involved with NASA and space? But I gotta design the spacesuits. So there's all these different parts that gotta, be made. On a car analogy, like there's a lot of different people, there's a lot of different moving parts, and you need them all, and it's not just one thing.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about that is we've had a lot of different people on this program, Matt. People that are in electrical circuit boards, people that are in manufacturing and fabricating, people that are in coatings, paintings, safety, lasers being used for measurement, not for weapons, but engineers and maintenance and overhaul companies, and so. I've actually, over the last 18 months, I've interviewed or worked with about 400 different people. And what it's really showed me is that there's a very broad spectrum of people that are involved in aviation aerospace. And that really drills right down into what you're talking about. It's just incredible on how many different places that people can engage, in space. And we don't really think about how diverse that really is. And I really appreciate you bringing that perspective up. That's great.
Yeah, of course. It probably comes back from I'm an airline brat, technically. My dad works for United. He's an airline mechanic. So I grew up knowing about the baggage handlers and the flight attendants and the mechanics and all the other supporting people who aren't pilots, not the rock stars, So for sure.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. Hey, listen, quick pause. Just wanted to remind people out there, we'd love to know where people are watching from. We had somebody that just put their name in the chat, doesn't say where he's from, but we'd like to recognize people. Nitin Sawant, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. Others out there watching, just let us know where you're at. We love to know where people are watching from. We always have people watching from South America and Latin America and from Europe and Africa and different places like that. It's really pretty exciting, to tell you the truth. Matt, let's switch over to a next part of the discussion I wanted to have here with you today. Matt, you have a background in IT as well, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done in IT and what you're currently doing right now?
Yeah, I've been working on computers since probably like 8 or 9 in a more developing capacity. There was websites as in the main starting ground and some HTML, but I've done computer engineering and engineering management at University of Pacific. Shout out to the alma mater there. Love them. And then I left my senior year, so I haven't completely finished my BS yet, but I left to go play startups, and I've been working on AI projects since then, as well as many different things. With VR, more web development technologies, got into app software design, got into software processes and automation. So looking forward to really developing the whole machine learning aspect of things. And it's a critical part of my business and becoming more so every day. But that also led me to the Scrum development world. Part of software development is also knowing how to get projects done, and that's what I learned how to do. And as a founder as well, you just gotta. I mean, that's the main thing, and that's what I do every day. So as a Scrum Master, I fell in love with that framework, and I've just delved down deep into that.
Hey, Matt, for the novice out there on development, can you tell us what Scrum is? Okay.
Sure thing. Technically, it's more of a framework, so it relies more on a couple of different ceremonies, rules, and some artifacts that are supposed to be produced with it. It's a very concrete, skeleton framework for getting things done. The methodologies in between is where Agile would come in. So just a quick background on the software industry, and and technically most industries, use this a lot. Is the waterfall method is where we all kind of come from, where you come up with a business plan, or you come up with an idea for a project, and you're like, okay, cool, we're gonna go here and we're gonna spend a ton of time, 6-8 months or whatever amount of time and resources and money, developing this thing, and then we'll hand this off, and then we'll test it out, and we'll give it to the marketers after that, and we'll do blah blah blah. Well, that was effective, until we found something different. Agile and Scrum relies more on incremental and iterative improvements. For anybody out there familiar with the lean software stack or lean business or lean manufacturing principles, which also come from Toyota back in the day, when they were trying to figure out how to become competitive, they were like, okay, we got to become lean. And so that's what they did. Instead of, working on for something for 6 to 8 months and figuring out if it would work, they iterated, constantly checked in and did some more design and got feedback on the interim so that they could make these little tiny pivots and end up at something that they did know that people did want and did work, instead of just I hope it works, and if not, then I guess back to the drawing board until we can get to the end.
That's a great explanation. I think what we found was kind of what what we found at Boeing is you're able to deliver customer-driven content not once a year or twice a year, maybe once a week, and able to iterate and create and deliver value much more quickly.
Yeah. It's how do you deliver a product, a usable, meaningful, valuable product faster and better. The whole continuous improvement mindset is very, lodged in here.
Yeah. Over the years, over my career, we saw things like the waterfall turn into spiral development processes, and then into, more agile development processes, which you've just described right now, which, there's so much that people need to learn. But listen, if you're not familiar with any of these development frameworks or processes, go to Wiki and look up, agile development, or look up Scrum, and you get a lot of really good information. But Matt, I wanted to ask you this:
or you could just call us.
You call us, yeah, right, yeah, yeah. Matt, I wanted to ask you this: is that agile development has really been around for a while now? Maybe 10 plus years, hasn't it? And is there anything next, or what's different, or what's new, or is agile really evolving into something which meets our needs today and into the future?
What I love about it is, I guess part of its name is agile or agility, is that it's adaptable and it's flexible and it's more, and depending on who you talk to, and this is just my interpretation of it, it's kind of like an ongoing continuous improvement thing, where it was what it was and is what it is now, but it will continue to adapt to what you need it to be. Whether the processes are necessarily the same, I'm sure that'll change over time. Whether you ask this question in that order doesn't really matter. I think it's more about the importance is the philosophy of just making those quick, iterative, incremental changes, and doing good science, basically, is what it comes down to, which is what I love about it from my science background. Is it's just the scientific method, really. Is just do some things, test it out, see if you can get some repeated results, and continually, make adjustments and improve on that. So I think it'll be around for, ever. If it changes names, it probably will. There's other stuff out in the software community called like extreme programming, which is that and more or something. But everybody's got their own little brand of what they think it means or what they like about it. But really, it's just about being agile. So yeah, I think it'll be around for ever. Maybe not the same name, but it'll be there.
Yeah, that's interesting, Matt, because over the years, we've seen fundamental, good, solid principles be called something different. A long time ago, we saw quality and continuous improvement, and we saw quality assurance, and we saw lean, and we saw, all sorts of different things come up in different names. But really what it is that it's, fundamental good practices repackaged with new ideas, just really focused on to create success. And Larry, you talk about about getting just getting going on stuff, and that's a little bit what we're talking about here. So.
Absolutely. And I think as we look forward, we're going to take the best of Waterfall, because there were some really good things about having a solid plan and delivering to the plan. But that flexibility that Agile and Lean give you, and the daily Scrum, discipline really lets you, like I said, lets you deliver value a lot quicker, and lets you kind of like you said, Mark, get started on this digital transformation road.
Yeah. Hey, I want to do one more follow-up question on that, but before I do, I want to recognize a few more people that have joined us. Nitin, he actually was in Mumbai, and thanks for joining us from Mumbai. And then we have some participants here from the U.S. Solomon, thanks for joining here, Solomon. I really appreciate that. And we also have a guest from Rwanda. I frequently get people, in the African continent, reaching out to me all the time, really, and asking for thoughts and ideas. Africa is really an emerging country in the area of aviation, and they're really working really hard to try to put a framework around safety and continuous maintenance, and providing good practices in aviation aerospace. And you'd be surprised at how many people reach out to me. I think last week I had meetings with probably 3 different people or 4 different people, Tunisia and South Africa and in Nigeria and Ethiopia. And then I have a meeting this week with somebody in Kenya. Anyway, what I'm saying is that, all around the world, what's really amazing, Matt, when we can do a broadcast like this, it's really cool that we can reach people, all around the world, and we're all faced with similar kind of challenges, and we can work together collectively. Your organization that you're focused on is called Pineapple Empire, okay? And I don't even know what that is, but you originally described to me a little bit on how communities can support and help one another, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Can you tell us what the Pineapple Empire is and what it really refers to?
Yeah, I mean, kind of technically, I mean, it just is what it is. It's an empire, is what I'm trying to build. When I was 11 or 12, I wanted to take over the world, and this is how it manifests today. And I'm really upfront about it. If I can take over the world, I guess, and people let me do it, and there we are. I much less don't want to be in charge, though. I just kind of want to set up a better system and framework of government. And I know Mark and Larry, a big topic here on digital aircraft is digital transformation, and that's kind of what I see for it as well. I'm trying to position myself and our empire in the space colonies, market or the industry. And so something, uniquely interesting to me, since I don't have the resources to be sending rockets to space, because I'm not a billionaire yet, growth mindset, is that I got to work with what I've got. And that's philosophy, theory, and, the internet, which is transforming a lot of things digitally. And I think about how that is going to be effective in governing future space colonies and just governance in general. We're looking at, we've got cryptocurrencies, and we actually have a crypto token now. So we can't sell it yet, but we're working on it. We'll be on Coinbase soon one day. But that's what we are. We are a decentralized, borderless, voluntary nation, or in the crypto space, they would also call us a decentralized autonomous organization, which just means we have a bunch of voluntary citizens. Everybody who's there is, there because they want to be there or believe that we can provide a service or help them in some way. Our belief and our vision is kind of this free market competing for citizenship. We have one of our service models that we're trying to get off the ground is citizenship as a service, and looking at how do we provide things that people need and, more effectively and faster. So right now we're focused on building community, and particularly with the goal of advancing our mission, which is to accelerate the world's transition to the new space economy. But we provide networking, mentorship, business development, personal development, coaching, mentoring, all sorts of different things. And we're adding new services every day. Almost every day, or as frequently as we can get them in. And the more people that we have in the network, the more communities we have in the network, the more services we can provide, because that's a natural extension of that. It's like, okay, well, we don't do financial planning specifically ourselves, except for I used to do that, but we have partner networks that can help with that. And we have support and resources to get you the right thing.
So if somebody wants to engage in this community, how do they do that?
Pineappleempire.co. Is our website. I would just recommend going there, checking it out, signing up. We have a whole membership section that with a few groups. We've got a book club, a chess club, a chamber of commerce that we're trying to get off the ground as well. So we're going to be having a job board there as well. And then also the creation of groups. So it's ideally a platform that allows you to create your own decentralized borderless voluntary nation as well. If you think you have your own great idea, we can be a platform for that or teach you how to do it. But yeah, Pineapple Empire, go there. I've got the calendar link here so that you can book a call with me to learn more, or you can just click it and click on the rest of the website to learn more as well.
All right, awesome. Well, there's the link there. We're going to put that up at the end again. We still have more to go on the show here today, on the program today, but we'll put it up again later. Just quickly recognizing some more people. I love just recognizing people that are here. We have somebody who joined us from the Philippines. It's Erwinson Gebbia. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. It's just great to know that we can connect with people all around the world. It's amazing. Hey, I want to move into the next topic here, which is really important to me. Listen, I met Matt on the internet, okay, through a virtual community. All right, how about that? All right, and I'm not sure how I first became aware of him on the internet, but I did see that he was initiating a really interesting effort to be able to promote and to help people on LinkedIn. Matt, can you explain to us what it was that you were doing, and then we'll talk a little bit about the outcome and where it's going from here?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe what you're referring to is our Top Women in Aviation and Aerospace on LinkedIn campaign.
Yes.
The nominations and everything have already wrapped up, so we do have them. We ended up with a top 62 list because I couldn't just narrow it down to 10 because there were so many amazing women out there. And yeah, I mean, the response from that was incredible. It was everything I had hoped it would be and more. We launched into there because as you know, I love space, and as I'm trying to build a network, and I mentioned earlier, working with the resources that I have the internet and I have networking abilities, and just looking at building an empire or even a space colony, I look at that and I see, that's going to require a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and at the end of the day, people. So people gotta get out there and know, and then at the same time, it looked like. So I thought aviation and aerospace would be a good place to start with that, since I've become recently aware that they're not quite as related to defense. I mean, they got some inner overlap on defense and space, but it looks like, or it seems like there's they think of themselves as kind of a little bit separate. So not quite as much overlap, but there is some in there, So I thought that would be a good place to start. And then I also was, it's 2021, and I look at this state of the world as well, and we hear about a lot of feminism as well, and how it's particularly some industries like have some glass ceilings as well. And so I was looking at where can we make the most impact, and who can we help the most. And so I wanted to start there, just because I figured and I got this feedback because we started rolling out. People asked for a top men in aerospace and aviation, so we're working on that one current like now. But at the same time, while we're rolling that one out too, we're getting all these this feedback from people who are saying like, well, that's great too, but you should start with the women. I'm like, well, exactly, that's why we did that. So it's definitely like called for and needed, and the response I got for it was amazing. Yeah. And then I can't remember if we mentioned this already on the broadcast or if we talked about it before, but we just got feedback and nominations and learned about so many people from so many different backgrounds. So it wasn't just pilots and astronauts, but we got and not just people who have been in the industry for 20 plus years more either. We got new people, so there's fresh perspectives on there, and people got highlighted that aren't necessarily the biggest, but they are leading, and they are on the top of the game on LinkedIn, which was kind of a qualifier for me. It had to be like, you had to be active here, or else it'd just get too chaotic. We'd end up with a list of like Bezos and everything, Bezos and Musk and Zuckerberg, or not Zuckerberg, but the usual suspects. So this was something. I
was just really impressed with just the way that you tackled that. But first of all, I want to say one thing is that no matter what you do, you're going to get criticism, about something. People are going to say, well, you should have started with this or started with that. But I think you started with a very great cause, and I think that by identifying prominent women that are really moving things forward in the industry and are out there on LinkedIn in aviation, aerospace, and defense, we can add that in there, is a great place to start. And you can recognize other things. But, Larry and I have worked with some amazing ladies, over the last year and a half. And, we've worked with Fiona Mackay, which I know you know her, and, with Polly Rose. And, really sad that their company, RCF, had a fire a couple weeks ago and their warehouse burned down. But Polly is very prominent and all over the internet. And I know Erica Armstrong, and I've worked with her on the program, and she's amazing. And I think that Marcy Simpson or Penny Burnham, one of the two from NICOT, I think were in your top numbers. And I've worked with some other amazing ladies like Renee Bangelsdorf, which she's amazing, but she wasn't as active on LinkedIn, so she probably didn't make your list. But my point, though, is that we've worked with a tremendous amount of amazing ladies that are making major contributions to aviation, aerospace, and defense. And I really appreciate you putting highlight on that and focusing on that. Matt, where do you go next with that? What's next?
It's great that you mentioned Fiona, because we just finished wrapping up a series recording. She allowed us to, work with her podcast and use her infrastructure. So we've just done a few interviews with some of our top 62, and she's one of the top 62 as well. She always forgets to mention that on the podcast, but Fiona was a top 62, and we interviewed several other of the top 62, one of them being Erica Armstrong as well, you mentioned, Christina Korp, Getika Gorthy, and so we got a wide array, and Bianca Cephalo too, and Jill Myers, so many amazing and great women. So that's going to be coming out soon at the either end of August, beginning of September. Is watch out for the leading ladies of aerospace, or follow Fiona Mackay for that. That podcast has been coming out soon. We got them all recorded. Probably be releasing them weekly. Be on YouTube, I think iTunes, and wherever streaming platforms happen. On top of that, Fiona is also doing the Leading Ladies of Virtual Summit, and we have some panelists from our top 62 as well speaking over there. So there should be a link on my profile, or if there's not, there should be. But if there's not, go talk to me, and I'll send you the link and I'll get you the information. Yeah. Register, sign up. If there's still spots left available, I know, she's really crushed her goals and ran past the amount of registrants she was looking for. So there's going to be some great speakers over there. Some of them that were on the podcast, and from that, just me being on the podcast was like a mini virtual summit for me. And I was like, oh wow. So if it's anything like that, it's going to be really cool. And you should check that out. Yeah,
she's run some good summits in the past, and this one is on September 23rd. And I just shared her post this morning on LinkedIn. And so if you guys are, she also really looks for male allies, that support, the leading ladies of defense, the leading ladies of aerospace, and, in many different areas. But it's really been a powerful force. And so I really appreciate you, highlighting that and focusing on that, because I think that's been great, really to do that. Hey, I wanted to point out we had somebody else join with us, Jeff Sabo. He's CEO of Urban Air Mobility. Anyway, Urban Air Mobility is a fantastic company. Just a industry. I think that's you talk about the space economy. Anyway, that is an area that's growing dramatically. Drones, vertical eVTOLs, and urban air mobility, UAVs, all that. Matt, have you gotten involved at all in that aspect of aviation at all?
Not yet, but I've been threatening it for a while. I've been wanting. I just see. I might have missed the boat on the easiness of entering the drone market, because I remember a good 5, 6, or 7 years ago, I was like, if I just invest $1,300 in this super drone, I will have the best drone in the area for hundreds of miles, and I could just do pictures for real estate agents or something like that, or, and branch out from there. But having actually, the closest I've got is one of the startups I did consult for a while was involved in VR and AI, critical infrastructure damage analysis. That's a lot of words there. But that's the closest I've gotten to the drone part of the industry with any regards to anything major.
Good. Hey, listen, Larry and I are just always looking for, positive forces in the industry. And that's why we reached out to you, Matt, originally, and you got back with us. And we really, really believe that enthusiasm is contagious. I always say that enthusiasm is the most contagious, force out there. It rages like wildfire. And so I draw toward enthusiastic people that are excited about what they do and are passionate about it. And you clearly are. And I really appreciate your passion, toward that. Hey, listen, I wanted to ask you just sort of a personal question is that, what are you most excited about, going forward with this new space economy? What's the most exciting thing to you?
It might sound dumb, but just life. I just look at it and it gives me so much hope for, the future. And it gives me a purpose as well. And it's the call to adventure. I'm a very adventurous person. I know I mentioned that to you earlier, but it just, it's exciting. I don't know how you could, look into space or look at space and not get excited. We've been called by the stars for hundreds of thousands of years, and we're just on the verge of that whole new endeavor right there. And and it's exciting to me. On top of that, it solves so many problems that, go on concurrently right now, which you mentioned criticism and pushback as, something that always comes up. And for space, people are always like, why would you focus on that when you could be focusing on the problems we have here on Earth? And it's like, well, why not both? And space does that, all the technologies, all the satellites that we send up there that help us do research on the climate crisis and everything that's going on now. And just, it, pushes the boundaries of science, which helps us, work on problems here. The philosophical dilemma of and ethics of how do you handle space. I talked to an astrobiologist a few months ago who, pushed me back to the whole Star Trek Prime Directive, don't interfere with life on there. AI, consciousness, all these really cool things that help you become a better person in the now. I just look forward to all of it, quite honestly.
Great perspective. Larry and I have been passionate about helping aviation, aerospace, and defense companies to be more efficient and to grow and to be more successful. But if I were to answer that question about myself, is that I believe that aviation, aerospace connects people, and we're relational people, and we love to connect with each other. And you can see it when we've all been hiding, in our homes and things like that, is that people are dying for relationships and community. And I have gotten so much through traveling around the world and meeting people around the world. And aviation has been the way that it's been possible for me to do that, to be able to go get on an airplane, to fly somewhere and meet someone in a totally different culture halfway around the world. And so part of my passion is to be able to grow and to thrive and to drive the ability for people to connect, not just virtually, but actually in person, have a coffee, in a restaurant in the UAE or down in the Philippines or wherever, And by Larry and I focusing on things like digital transformation and helping to make the business more efficient, we're able to accomplish those goals. And so, people say, well, what do you and Larry do? All right. Okay. Well, Larry and I, we do consulting. We help people in the area of sales and marketing, in aviation, aerospace. We help with mergers and acquisitions. We actually help with a lot of different things. We help with deployment and consulting of IT systems. I've actually deployed systems at over 250 different companies over my career, and our passion is to help the aviation economy to be successful, because it's very demanding most of the time. It's strained. They're running on razor thin margins. And so we believe that if we can help those industries to be successful, then we can help achieve those goals, in aviation, aerospace. Larry, what drove you to be involved in, digital or in aviation? What was your passion behind it?
My passion is, helping people understand the opportunities. We've talked this morning a little bit about the new space economy and the opportunities that are there. You can look at the new urban air mobility economy and all the opportunities there are for growth and for learning and for, growing your business. And I think that's helping people understand those opportunities. Sometimes I like to say, never waste a good crisis. And there's one crisis after another. There are opportunities there.
Excellent, Larry. Hey, listen, for those of you watching today, next week we have a great guest. We have Randy Steenholt, who was one of the original founders of STS Engineering. He's now part of the STS group, but they're supporting aviation in the area of parts and materials and engineering and line maintenance. And it's going to be a great discussion, because he's going to talk about how are they helping the industry to be successful. Matt, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your insights and your time and your efforts, mostly your efforts that you're putting toward helping other people to be successful. Really, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm just happy to do it. Happy to be helping out. Excellent.
Larry, thanks for joining us today. Hey, let me sign off here with a reminder is that if you want to reach out to Matt, go to that URL, pineappleempire.com/calendar, and you can book a call with him, and you can have more conversations with him about you can use their services or how you can be part of the Pineapple Empire and the new space economy. And then if you'd like to reach out to us, we also have a email address and a website that you can go to where you can reach me. It's digitalaircraft.org or digitalaircraft.com. You can reach out to me, and we'd be happy to engage with you in many different ways. But mostly we want to help your IT company, your maintenance company, your airline operations, or other businesses within aviation aerospace to be successful. And we have a network of people that we bring forward to do that, again, either in the area of consulting or in the area of helping you to grow your sales and marketing, your top line revenues, mergers and acquisitions, and implementations of projects and things like that within aviation aerospace. Thanks for joining today, guys. I really appreciate you being with us and your insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, fair winds and following seas to you. Have a great day, and thanks for being with us today. Join us every Wednesday at 9 Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. Have a great day. Bye.